Good afternoon, Jen. How you doing?
I am great. How are you?
Fantastic. Thank you. We are back for one more foster care short with Jenn Stout. For those watching, this is Jenn Stout, Director of Foster Care for Thompson. She is fantastic. She's been with Thompson a long time. She is a foster care parent herself, and she's a fantastic resource of information and foster care advocate. It's always a pleasure to talk with you, Jen. Today we have a short segment on we talked about this before, internal power struggles that sometimes come up in the home with foster care parents and, obviously kids. Can you tell me a little bit about that dynamic, why that happens, and maybe what we can do about them?
Absolutely. So power struggles happen all the time, whether it's foster kids, your biological kids, your husband and you, power struggles just happen. And so sometimes, when we're talking to families, obviously we work with them and give them tools. We have our Together Facing the Challenge model. We have our treatment foster care model where we are working constantly with families on how to get through power struggles or not even to engage in them. Again, it's about communication. So when we're communicating with people and we set our expectations very clearly, and then when a child says, well, I don't want to do that, instead of engaging in a back and forth with them, you leave with this was the expectation. Let me know when you're able to meet this expectation. And maybe you set a time limit. Maybe you don't. Maybe you leave it open. And we had a foster child that broke his phone, and he did it. I don't want to say it was on purpose, but he broke it. And then
Mm-hmm.
he handed it to the foster parent and said, "This is broken." And she said, now easily, this could have turned into, well, I'm not fixing that. And you better this and you better that. And instead, she looked at it and said, oh my goodness, this is shattered. Wow, this is terrible. And then handed it back to him and said, hey, we're going to the mall this weekend. You should bring it to the guys, the kiosks in the mall, and have them take a look at it, see how much it's going to cost.
Mm-hmm.
And once that happened, he came back and he said, it's going to cost $700. And she said, oh no, that's terrible and feels like highway robbery. Let me know how you need help with earning that money to fix the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in there, she never said, I'm not going to do it, or you're terrible, or any of those things. She basically just walked through the steps that he needed to do to fix it. And so it took him a minute to kind of digest where she was taking him on that road, but didn't engage in a battle with her because she never said, you're terrible, or I'm not gonna. It was, wow, this is terrible. Wow, how are you going to fix this? And so ultimately he said, I guess I might have to get a job. And she said, I would love to support you in being able to get a job. Let's figure out how you're going to fill out some job applications. And so, all of those things, it takes a minute to develop not the reaction that we're going to have as parents with, you did that on purpose. Oh, here comes the power struggle. I did not, and now this is your back and forth, but instead being solution focused and being like, wow, that's a shame. I'm so sorry that happened. And you'd be surprised that you can have a conversation versus an accusatory session, which is what I like to call them, accusatory sessions versus conversation. Because conversation is I'm getting information or I'm giving information, versus I'm accusing you of something. Because in the moment that he broke his phone, he was extremely angry. And so why do I want to revisit that with him? Why do I want to help a kid to be angry again? Why wouldn't I want, to help him to process through how do I make this happen? Once the phone was fixed, by the way, he still has that phone because he had to pay to get it fixed.
Yeah, because you value what you paid for. Now I got a question for you because part of the effectiveness of the difference between the accusatory session and the conversation is that maybe the child maybe expecting the accusatory session, but when you don't give them what they're expecting and it kind of throws them off, does that have anything to do with it?
It has a ton to do with it because a lot of foster kids really come to expect people to blame them for things. They come from, unfortunately, homes where that happens. So, which again, if you guys have been following my shorts, that's where the training comes in, where we're really working with foster families on how do you develop not only that ability to do those things, but the abilities to develop rapport and a relationship with a child that it doesn't belong to you, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and
And
that
I'm
can.
here, and a couple other things that really resonate with what you said for anybody who's watching, being solutions focused rather than being consequence, focused and, accusation focused, really being focused on the solution with these conversations. And then also expectation setting to begin with. And then clear communication, maybe when expectations aren't met, because again, the expectation was set or should have been set, or that could be something that we're looking forward to doing going forward. Am I right?
You are absolutely right. You're absolutely right. You see, do you want to be a Thompson foster parent, Robert? Because I think you'd be great. So,
Well, thank you so much, Jen. This has been fantastic. Thank you always. And I invite you to do some more shorts in the future for foster care. Take care and have a good day.
you too.